How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the eNVision Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Portillo, joined by my lovely co-host and wife, Lynn Portillo.
Hey, guys.
Welcome back to episode 10.
Yeah,
Yay!
10.
We're at episode 10. Are we really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah, we've done it consistently for 10 episodes.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. I mean, I'm definitely enjoying our time doing this. I don't know. Yeah. What about you?
I'm enjoying it. That's almost 3 months.
Yeah. I know we were very intentional about starting right at the end of Q1.
Mm-hmm.
And then it took us we were probably planning for 3 to 4 months before we actually started.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy. It's cool to see the work, the planning at work and the hard work paying off, because I do think that we are helping people, and that's exciting.
I hope so.
We have gotten some feedback, so for those of you who have given us feedback, we really appreciate it. It means a lot. And as always, we're always open to that, so please let us know.
Yeah, we're still learning as we go.
Yes, we are, but please let us know if there's something that you're interested in hearing, or something that you want to learn about, or something.
Or perspective on.
Give us your perspective, but also if there's something that we could improve on, right? Just let us know, and that we're very open to that. So we're very excited and thankful to be here, feeling very, very blessed. Lynn, how's your week this week?
It's been good. I feel like the week's kind of flying by. Just, busy with work.
Yeah.
Busy with a baby.
Yeah.
I got sick this week.
She did.
So that made 75 hard, really difficult actually for a day and a half.
But you got it done. You're getting it done.
Yeah, I did get it done. So I had a bladder infection and it started fine. I just woke up and I was like, I think I might be having this. So I set an appointment, and by the time I was finished with the appointment, I thought I was dying. It was crazy how fast the infection spread.
Yeah.
So, and it took 3 hours to get medicine.
Yeah.
So I had to do both my workouts without any medicine or anything, and it was really hard.
And she was even a trooper, because when I got home from work, I still had to do my second workout, and I had already done my morning workout at this time. So it's been nice. It's springtime. It's summer, almost summer. Well, it is spring, right? But we're getting into spring. Oh my goodness, we're in spring, getting into summer, and so it's just nice to be outside. So we've been doing pretty much both of our workouts outside, walking, jogging, playing with the dogs, playing with our son. So for this particular instance, I came home and I had to do my second workout, and I was about to head out the door, and Lynn's like, no, we'll join you. I was like, are you sure? She's just like, yeah. I was like, do we need to stay close by in case you run home or anything? And she's like, no, we're fine. And you're a trooper. I love you. I respect you. I admire you for it. But she was walking at the pace of a turtle, and I would walk
really badly.
I was walking our dog, and I'd get up, a couple, 30, 40 feet or yards in front of them, and then I'd have to walk back. And then I'd get up again, and then I'd walk back, and I'd get up again, and I'd walk back. And so it just made it a little interesting for me. Not gonna lie, there was a couple moments where I was like, just go home. But she actually said it. I actually said it. I was like, just go home. There's a difference between being brave, and there's a difference between being silly. And right now, I think you're flirting with that line. You already did your workout. You don't have to go above and beyond for a third one. And she did at the last 5 minutes, because when we were headed back home, I still had 5-10 minutes left, and I was like, you know what? Let me leave you here. Let me go for a walk for the last 10 minutes, and then I'll be home. And then she's like, okay. And so I just took our dog and got that done.
Yeah, I have had actually 3 workouts for the last couple of days, because I was trying to support him, because he always will support me when I have stuff to do, so I was trying to be supportive. But maybe that day I didn't need to be that supportive.
Yeah, if anything, I had to support you, but I still had to get the workout done. So priorities. She wasn't in any danger of going to the hospital. I think the worst part was over.
Pain,
so I just looked at her. I was like, "You look fine. You don't look fine, but I think you'll be fine." And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right." I gave her the thumbs up, and I just walked away.
Yeah. so that, other than that, it's been a good week.
Good. No, I'm glad to hear that. I know for me, I mean, I kind of touched upon it already, but we've been working out in the morning, and then getting our day started, going to work, coming back from work. You're pretty much done with your workouts and all your stuff.
It's just the water.
Just the water, yeah. There was just one time this week where I didn't push it as bad as last week, but it was probably 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night when I was finishing my water, and I decided to stay up for an extra hour. I was like, you know what? I don't want to have the same situation happen like last time, so let me just stay up a little bit. So I did a little bit more reading on my book, which is really good. Again, I mentioned it last time, and I recommend it. It's been giving me different perspective, not just for financial literacy, but just overall view on life. And so it's been cool. I really enjoyed the book. Yeah, so I read a couple extra pages and then hung out for a little bit. Lynn actually, you know what's funny? I had to eat my own words this week. Last week I mentioned how Lynn, when I'm doing our social media, Lynn's videos tend to get less views than my videos. Ha ha ha. But this time I should have just kept my mouth shut, because I created a quick short reel for her, which was like 12 seconds long. And that video blew up. It was the biggest video that we've posted.
And I said nothing except Vegito.
Yeah, we had the most views on it. I mean, it's nothing.
I think it's just because it's Dragon Ball related.
Nothing crazy. It's 1,400 views, but it's the best post that we've posted, so I'll take it as a win, and we're super excited about that.
That's a lot for us. We're small.
Yeah, and so Lynn, she was in her workout outfit last week for the Vegito inspired outfit, and she made her pose, and then she's just like explains why she didn't want to change before the podcast, because we still had to work out. So she's like, I'm just gonna stay to it. And I don't know if it was the genuineness, I don't know if it was the just what's it called, the transparency, or just the Vegito part of it, or the fact that she's cute and likes anime. I think that's a plus. I mean, look at her sleeve.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I have.
She's got for those of you
a tattoo to her.
For those of you, who know anime and have seen the movie Your Name, that's that. If you've seen, and you got Zeno over here.
Zenny, little peace signs in space.
Yep, and then you got L from Death Note, and then I think that's the only ones that you have for anime.
Anime, but this sleeve will be complete someday with more anime.
Fair enough. And then she's rocking the Itachi shirt right now.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
She's just comfortable.
Yeah, I'm in my comfort stage of the 75 hard challenge. Be as comfortable when you can, because the rest of the challenge is not comfortable.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. I'm not hating on that. So you're looking good. So
thanks.
Anyways, that video went viral. I ate my own words, and now she's super happy. So she's viral for us, I should say, but still viral in my opinion. So it was good. It's exciting to see the growth, and if anything, I noticed I was watching. As I was posting and doing a little bit of scrolling, I was watching a person made a reel about how you should be posting multiple times a day.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to lie, I haven't put that much dedication into doing more than one post. In fact, this week I've been a little bit slack-offish. I've missed 2 days, so I need to get back on it and be better at the discipline. But I'm interested to see what kind of results we get by posting more than one time a day. So something to look forward to, something to start thinking about as we explore and as we grow more in knowledge in this side of it.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I'd say 75 hard is going well. I'm feeling good, feeling strong. I'm actually down. I didn't weigh myself before the challenge. I weighed myself maybe 3-4 days before starting the challenge, and I was about 212, 213 around there. And I weighed myself 2 days ago. I felt good. I was like, you know what? I feel light. I feel good. Let me just weigh myself. I got on the scale. I was 192. So we're rocking and rolling. I feel great. I feel energized. I feel super motivated and happy. And even though there are times where either I get home from work late or life is happening and I can't finish my things until later on in the day, I'm still getting them done, and it just feels good to still be able to check that off the bucket list.
Even with our diet, because when the night I was really sick, I just couldn't cook, but we were able to make a good, healthy pivot and still stick to our diet that we were planning on, and just stuck to straight meat and vegetables from a restaurant and not like takeout or anything. So we still were able to stay healthy, even though I couldn't do my normal cooking.
Yeah, and then today for dinner, she made mashed potatoes, and I looked at her I was joking, but I was just like, why are you making mashed potatoes out of the can when I can't have them?
Like the powdered kind?
Yeah, like the powdered ones, because they're processed. And she's like, oh, no. She's like, these were boiled, these were peeled, and they were mashed.
Them.
And she's like, and you're going to enjoy them. And I was like, whoa. I was like, my bad.
These came from the ground. They're not processed. I did all the stuff. And honestly, you guys, we make it seem like making mashed potatoes is a lot of work because we have the powdered ones and it's just adding water. Thanksgiving is not the only time you can have fresh, real mashed potatoes. They didn't take any longer than what I made stuffed bell peppers also with some bison. I put those in, and the time of me cooking the meat, so I was cooking the meat to put in the bell peppers, already had them boiling, and then as they're baking, finish boiling those, mash them, and it's all ready at the same time. It actually wasn't that much work, so
That's
I
actually
think we're
pretty
all
cool.
just lazy.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I think that's really cool. And thank you for doing them. Thank you for doing that. Those were pretty yummy. I really enjoyed them. So awesome. Cool. Well, let's do one thing that we kind of did last time. We really didn't do, but I'm curious on peaks and valleys for this week, and then we'll get into our topic of the day.
Peak is I've just been very consistent with a routine for the challenge. I feel like even though I'm adding all these different things on my plate for the challenge, I'm still able to get the other things I like to do, like making sourdough, cooking dinner, doing the chores, all of that stuff that I normally am like, oh, I gotta still get all this done. Even with adding 2 workouts, making sure I'm drinking water, reading and stuff, I'm still able to get everything done. So I say that's a peak, is that adding things to my plate, I've been able to adjust, and I still have time, like downtime in the day, which I was nervous about because I get tired easier.
Yeah.
Nowadays, just with having a baby and work and everything. Valley, I'm gonna say was my infection. I'm still healing from.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
That's understandable. You do look better today.
Yeah.
You do seem like
better.
have more energy, and you are a little bit back to your normal self, which is good. 'Cause that day you were not happy.
No, I didn't. I feel like a wimp how much it affected me, but it just got progressively worse to the evening. So it's a good reminder of that we are human and can easily perish.
Yeah, I'm not
like
gonna.
the smallest things.
I know I give a hard time, and a lot of times it's out of love to push you harder, but I don't play with stomach pain. I'm someone who just says, hey, you know what? If what's the old saying? If the going gets tough. How does it go? If the going gets tough, keep on going. Something like that.
If the going gets tough, something.
Yeah, I think it's keep on
tougher
going.
Or something.
You know what? I'm normally good at quotes, and I have been slacking these last couple of ones. I missed the
neither.
Rocky one, which, by the way, once we ended the podcast episode, I looked at Lynn and I was like, how did I forget what that word? How did I forget? How did I forget it? It's this, and then I recited it for her.
Yeah.
And then, I'll do it right now, just so you guys don't think I'm lying. It's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. And so I couldn't remember that at that time, and I was very mad at myself.
That would have been good.
And right now I'm mad at myself because I can't remember this. But anyways.
It's okay.
What was I saying? That was a terrible moment there.
You're talking about me being tough in your tummy.
Normally I'm saying if it gets tough, keep on going. Mental toughness. Push through it.
Oh, I think it's the going gets tough.
If the going gets tough, keep on going.
Yeah, the tough keep going.
The tough, whatever. But I do not play with stomach pain. I don't. Lynn knows. When we went on our shed hunting trip, I had 2 blisters, which honestly still haven't healed.
Yeah.
I'm walking around fine. They're not open again, but they're still callous and they're still healing. I was walking around the mountains with blisters that were bleeding. I was pushing through. I was having the time of my life. It was uncomfortable, but I still pushed through. ACL tear, push through it, rehab. Second partial ACL tear, push through it, rehab. Praise God that I'm still doing well in that. So I'm very pumped about that. Mental toughness, that's something that got preached at us a lot in football. And so I want to believe that it's instilled and ingrained in me. But stomach pain is totally different. I don't know. I try and be tough, but if I have a stomach virus or any digestive issues or I'm throwing up or the worst pain, and I'm not going to get, too much TMI here, but the worst pain, there's a pizza, for those of you who know of the restaurant Grimaldi's, or just, I think any pizza joint may have this, but it's the white pizza, the white sauce pizza, the Alfredo pizza.
Garlic, yeah,
it's a garlic Alfredo base paste. And it's chef's kiss. It's delicious.
Sounds so good right now.
But it wrecks my stomach, wrecks it. And in the middle of the night, I'm getting up and my stomach's hurting, and it's just my whole life. I just hate my life. It's worse than a hangover, honestly.
Yeah.
And honestly, with hangovers, that's another stomach issue that I think no one likes to have. So yeah, anytime it comes to stomach pain, For those of you who can tough it out, my hats are off to you. I respect you because I give in pretty quickly.
I definitely can say that when I was pregnant, I had the worst nausea ever. It just felt like I was car sick 24/7 for like 15 weeks, which is a lot of weeks.
Yeah.
That's, what, 4 months?
Yeah.
Almost. And when I would hear him get sick, you guys, because he got a stomach bug in the midst of my pregnancy, and he was just laying on the couch, guys, crying, like not crying, but like whining.
I might as well have been, because it was bad. To me, it was bad.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I was like, I have to take care of him and myself being sick and the dogs.
She actually called me out on it. She said something along the lines of, how can I be pregnant and nauseous all day and not cry, and here you have a little bit of a stomach problem and the whole world's gonna end.
I was like, drink some Pepto and get over it. I was kind of mean, but I was also pregnant with hormones, so I wasn't the nice.
I was taken back. I didn't even know what to respond to that. I just kind of sat there and I was like, oh okay.
But he was still hurt, so it didn't change, but it's okay. It's okay. So, I should have been more sensitive.
No. I mean, I deserved it. I'm pretty sure I deserved it. It's okay. Yeah, stomach pain, nothing to play with. So let us know how you deal with stomach pain. If Lynn is a Pepto believer, me, my parents, if you're in a Hispanic or African American community, and I think even the Asian community, rubbing alcohol and Vicks just cure everything. Vicks, Vapor Rub, and rubbing alcohol cure everything. So that is my remedy for pretty much just about anything.
That's funny. Yeah, and it's not going to help with your tummy, which is why I'm here, but that's okay.
I think I haven't, besides when I was having the stomach issues from getting sick coming home from Mexico, I haven't had Pepto-Bismol in years. That was my first time in probably close to a decade.
It's like minty.
Yeah, it tastes the same. Like I remember it didn't bring any like happy memories or anything like that. So I can't back you up there.
Okay, well then, what are your peaks and valleys? Since we kind of went on a tangent about my stomach issue.
Peaks and valleys. Peak is I am at 145 straight days of cold plunging, and it just feels really good. I know I've talked about it before, and I will continue talking about it here and there. I just really enjoy it. We've traveled internationally. We've traveled within the States, and I've always found, we've gone camping, and I've always found a place or somewhere to do my cold plunge. It might not always be the most ideal location or situation, but we still get it done. I think
it's not Instagram worthy, but still.
Well, I mean, I haven't really posted it in a long time, and honestly, the reason why I stopped posting my cold plunging is because I was kind of at a crossroads. It was right before we started doing or planning for the podcast and thinking about starting this podcast. I've always, I don't know, maybe you guys will know what I'm talking about, maybe not, but I've always felt weird about being labeled or labeling myself as like a social media influencer. I've just always found that weird. I don't know, maybe I just have a bad taste from certain influencers and I don't want to be associated necessarily in that sense. But I've learned to look at it from a different lens. I've learned to look at it more from being someone who can inspire people, being someone who can model and role model good values, good discipline, good hard work. Those are the things that I look at. And I am a people person. I do enjoy talking with people, helping them develop, helping them get better. Now, don't get me wrong. I also like to be alone from time to time. But for the most part, I enjoy helping people. And so I stopped posting my cold plunging because I don't know, I was at a crossroads. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it, and I wasn't really, I guess, disciplined and consistent in making like reels or doing like a challenge. I know I see some people who do, today's day whatever of taking an ice bath every single day, or there's a guy that we follow. This was a different page, but he was playing blackjack and he was betting 10 cents for every Instagram follower that he has. I mean, the man has a bankroll because he got to like 1.3 million followers.
Crazy.
So he was betting like 113,000 on a blackjack hand. It was crazy. So it was just a cool journey. I followed him from day 40, I think, or day 40 or day 50, and he just concluded that series at day 90.
Wow.
And he did it every single day. So it was pretty cool. But I just never was motivated to do that, or I wasn't sure. I felt weird about it, so I ended up not posting them. But it's cool to be able to still do that and just do something for me. Sometimes I think that when you get into the social media game or you get into creating content, sometimes you do so much for others, and you expose so much about your life that you forget to keep things private. Yeah. And that's something that Lynn can be my witness here. That's something that I'm very, very intentional about in our podcast. Yes, we want to grow with you guys. Yes, we want you guys to get to know us. Yes, we want you guys to be on this journey with us, and we want to be on your journey with you. But I do believe that there needs to be that fine line, and drawing a fine line and a boundary. We've talked about boundaries. There needs to be a boundary between how much you share with the public, right? There should be some things you keep for yourself and just keep for those that are close to you and your loved ones. So for a while it was cold plunging, and I'm just excited that I'm at day 145 and can share that good news with you guys consistent. Right now, the only thing that I can't figure out is for our hunting trip. Well, I guess I should say my hunting trip. I'm sorry. But that's the one thing I can't figure out, because it's August. We're going to be camping. It's not like we're going to be staying at a hotel. This last time that we went, it was still cold for Rhaegar, so we picked a hotel. But no, I want to be outside. I want to spend outside.
Go find a creek.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to have to find. And there's a couple that I do know, so I'm just curious. Hopefully they're still flowing. The water looked really good when we were over there.
Just check to make sure there's nothing dead up above.
That's true. That's an inside joke, and there's a story in that, so we'll have to share that at a different time. But that's definitely my peak, is being able to be disciplined in that one thing. I've said it before, and I keep saying it, and I'll repeat it. If I can apply everything I've learned as far as discipline and consistency and cold plunging to all areas of my life, I will be a dangerous person. There will be nothing that I can't accomplish. There will be nothing that I can't do. And I know I'm smart enough. I know I'm confident enough. I know I'm wise enough, and I know I can do it.
You just gotta work on your biggest flaw.
Procrastination. That is my biggest flaw. So I'm hoping I'm not going to speak hope. I believe that through this process, through 75 hard, through taking those little wins and stacking them, I will build better habits, and I will grow. Yep, and prayer. Definitely prayer. That's a big one. Can't do this without God.
Yeah.
Cool. And then so for my valley, let's see. What would be my valley this week? Honestly, I can't really think of one. It's been a positive week, and I know I've mentioned that if you don't have a valley, you shouldn't try and force a valley, and so really I can't think of it. If I had to pick a valley, today one of my peers had leftover pizza for lunch, and when he heated it up, it just smelled so good.
And you're like, I can't have it.
Oh no, actually I lied. There is a valley, but it not really. It's related to what I just said. Traveling back from this last trip that I took, there was a layover in Dallas.
Oh yeah.
And there's Whataburger. And we love Whataburger. We love Whataburger milkshakes, Whataburger fries.
Chocolate shake with those dipping the fries in there was my last month of pregnancy literally meal every other day.
When it comes to burgers, I think In-N-Out makes way better burgers than Whataburger. But the milkshakes are on point.
And the fries are 10 times better.
And the fries are really good. And so the person I was traveling with, they'd never had it. I don't even know if they knew about it, but they never had it. So I was like, you know what? Let's go have it. And she goes, no, are you sure? Because I know that you're doing your dad. I was like, no, trust me. Like I have the discipline. I have the self-restraint. You have to have it. And so she got a malt and she got an apple pie, which I love their apple pies. And I don't know, just being there, smelling the food, being back in Texas in general was really cool, even if it was just for a layover.
Nostalgic.
Yeah, it was very nostalgic. So I would say the low there is that everything smelled so good and I could not have it.
Yeah, that would be really hard, actually, seeing Whataburger right there.
Yeah, yeah. But so not too bad of a low, but still
one though.
Exactly. Cool. All right. Well, let's get into this week's topic. Lynn, what are we talking about this week?
Oh man, you're gonna put it on me?
I am. It's related to 75 hard. I'll say that much, but I want Lynn to talk about it a little bit because I want to hear her perspective from the get-go, and then we will dive right in.
Okay. So with the 75 hard, it comes with restrictions for the challenge, one of which is no alcohol. And this podcast is focused around relationships and stuff, and alcohol has been one that I personally have struggled with, and it caused dysfunction within our relationship. So that is going to be the topic of basically my problem with drinking.
Yeah.
And how I've kind of where I was at and where I've grown.
Okay, fair enough. Well, walk us through that. Walk us through just your experience in a brief, not too long, but in a brief summary. Walk us through your experience with alcohol and just what your thoughts of it were and why you are where you're at now.
Yeah. So, well, I think I'm going to start off saying, like, what I am now.
I think that's a good starting point, yeah.
So, I am about 19 months sober, a little over, which is a long time. So, I have Rhaegar to thank for that because pregnancy, obviously, no drinking at all. And from there, I just continued to keep that positive trajectory because I didn't want him to experience what I was like when I would drink. And the reason it became such a concern for me and why I wanted to make that pivot is because I got to a point where, which is even in Texas, that I was heavily dependent on alcohol. And I know Alex can even attest to seeing it because when we did the first 75 hard challenge, I had to buy fake cocktails on Amazon because the alcohol part was the hardest part of the challenge for me.
Yeah.
Like, I was struggling, and I bought 3 6-packs of like three different cocktails. It was like a gin and tonic, an old fashioned, and a Moscow Mule or something, and they're little cans of fake alcohol. I went through 18 of those in a week trying to get the fake alcohol taste of like I'm having a cocktail. That's how bad it got, just on the challenge.
Yeah.
But alcohol, just growing up, is actually very healthy perspective around it. I was never that kid that snuck drinks in, never went out and partied and got drunk or anything like that. My parents let me taste it at home in a safe space and never made it seem like this big thing that kids just crave and want, which I think is really healthy. So then you aren't going out and being irresponsible and
Correct.
and trying dangerous drinks, which you never know what's in them from parties and stuff. But through that, I grew up around drinking, and it was common. All of our friends drink a lot. It's social norms, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
And where we live, it's pretty big on bars and craft breweries and stuff like that. So I'm just around it, and it's just normal social drinking. But for me, it became way more than social drinking, and I think for my personality type, I get anxious really easy. I get stressed out really easily. And with that, you need things to help manage that. And I wasn't in a healthy place to manage my stress and anxiety that came just from everyday life. Alex and I having struggles in our relationship. I'm stressed out about work or even with school. There's so many different things that can cause the stress, but it's how I managed it wasn't good. I'm a nail biter. I mentioned that in our last podcast. Like, I'm surprised Alex didn't mention like me biting my nails.
As one of your quirks last week?
Yeah.
That is, I didn't even think about that.
My bad habits. Yeah.
That's terrible.
I know. So like biting my nails is a way I manage when I'm stressed. Alex knows. He like smacks my hand like, stop doing that. But things he didn't see in the background were drinking. That's how I managed my stress. And it got to the point where I could constantly have a drink, then 2, then 3, and 4. I had a very high alcohol tolerance at one moment. Like, I could beat all of our friends. Just be completely, not sober obviously, but high functioning alcoholic basically is what they're called. And it wasn't to where I'm like drinking crap bottles of liquor bought from the stores and chugging them at night, but I would have to have a drink, at least one every day, immediately after work. Sometimes I want one at lunch. Sometimes I would, if I'm stressed out and we're in a fight or something, I would just take a quick swig from a bottle or pour myself a quick shot. And it got to the point where I was very dependent upon alcohol. Yeah. And even now, I mean, I've been sober for 19 months now, and it's still like you miss out. And I crave a nice cocktail after work. Or just, a mimosa when we go out for brunch, those sort of things. And the fact that I still have those cravings makes me know I'm definitely not capable of even trying to limit myself, because I couldn't limit myself. And I didn't drink like fruity drinks or beer or anything.
Yeah.
I drank the hard liquor. It was whiskey neat or a gin martini straight up. So that also, I hope my liver is okay in there. I'm young enough that I stopped soon enough that it's okay.
Well, it's funny because I'll just say this real quick. If you offered, like if we were at a bar and a bartender, she asked for whiskey and the bartender asked, neat or on the rocks, just the fact that the bartender asked if you wanted on the rocks, Lynn just gave them a look like she was insulted. She just takes whiskey neat, and she's a bad mofo for it, and definitely, I mean, whiskey and tequila were my go-tos as well, but she's definitely, she definitely knew what she wanted. But on that, before you go further, I wanna circle back, because there's some good things to touch upon. I want to say that from my perspective, I didn't realize, I'm going to be honest, like the conversation Lynn and I are about to have, we haven't had as in depth maybe as we may get here. Not that we didn't want to talk about it, it's just a lot of this just came forth a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Because I had made a comment. I was like, okay, I know you're still nursing Rhaegar, and we don't want, both of us don't want her to be drinking while she's still nursing him. And so I just kind of made a comment. I was like, I've been sober for, I think I'm going on 9 months. I'm way behind her. But I said, don't, I think it'd be, for my birthday or something, if we go out, we can have a drink probably or something like that. And she's just like, no, I'm never drinking again. And I was just taken back by that. I was like, what do you mean? And she's just like, no, like I'm never drinking again. And I was like, well, why? What's going on? And then you could tell it was very painful for Lynn to open up, because, and forgive me if I'm wrong, and I don't mean to put you out here like this, but I think there was a lot of embarrassment or shame with it. And I could just see it in her eyes. And she started tearing up a little bit, and I was like, well, what's going on?
A little now.
I was like, well, what's going on? And she's just like, no, like I was like, I diagnosed myself as an alcoholic. Like I was an alcoholic. And I thought she was joking. I was like, Lynn, I drank way more than you. She's like, no. She's like, no, you didn't. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I did, because you would have to drive me home most of the nights. She's like, no, you didn't need it like I needed it. You didn't need to finish work and take a drink immediately. You didn't need to wake up and on the weekends and just have a drink. You didn't need to be on, if we have something going on or if we're on a fight, you didn't need to take a drink. And I just I stopped and I looked at her and I was like, what? And then she's just like, yeah. She's like, that was me. And I stopped and I started thinking, and I just tried to replay a lot of things in my mind, like in a 15-second span. And I sat there and I still couldn't believe it. Like to this day, like hearing you talk about it right now, it's still shocking for me, because I would say that I definitely drank, just in terms of like what's called visual. Yeah. I feel like I showed that I drank way more than you. Like you just hit it really, really well. And so, to touch upon that, I'm curious why, and this might be a heavy question. So why do you feel like you had to hide it? Or why do you feel like, I'll start there.
Because I was drinking at hours of the day you should not be drinking. So scared that I was just, to me that's wrong, everyone always says like you can't drink, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but waking up in the morning and wanting to drink is bad, even if it's just like wanting to put Bailey's in your coffee. Probably shouldn't be starting the morning off that way. And I think it is embarrassment, because I also don't want you to judge me and think that something's wrong with me and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm married to an alcoholic, which is also embarrassing for you too. So I never got to the point where I was super drunk and hungover and stuff all the time in public, because I didn't want to have that appearance and embarrass you in front of others and that sort of thing. And I think I just never needed to be that way, because I was always on like the buzz, a slight buzz, if that makes sense. So if I'm having a drink in the morning and drink at lunch, drink right after work. It's kind of a constant thing flowing through,
Okay.
which that sounds bad, like saying like, oh, I'm drinking like on the clock, but I don't do that anymore, and it's no jobs are harmed in the making of this podcast. But I hid it because it's embarrassing and it's bad, and I've known alcoholics and I know what it can look like, so I wanted to try to cover it up as much as possible to not cause you any embarrassment, and because I was just ashamed that I had to depend on it. And with stress and anxiety too, I would never have been able to confront, like have that confrontation if you noticed. Because what am I going to say if I'm drinking stressed out because if we have a fight, or I'm stressed out at work, or something else is stressing me out, and then you're saying like, you're drinking too much, you have a problem, and I haven't willingly accepted that I have a problem yet, I think it would have probably just made it worse. So I think this is a thing where I had to realize it and be confident in my decision to not drink. Otherwise, it could have progressively gotten way worse.
Yeah, I see your perspective there because, you're mentioning drinking heavy, blacking out, just being drunk. I definitely have way more nights of those than you do, and you've
got
had
some fun stories.
We do have some fun stories, and you've had to, babysit us. You'd had to drive us home, myself, our friends, and so, because like I said, I can think of a handful, like legitimately a handful of times where we've gone out and you've drank more than me. And you can, like, that's when you can visibly tell that you're having a good time and that you're drunk. And so that's why I never, again, like to this day, you saying that how much of a dependence it was for you, it's still a shocker for me because, I'm definitely was a social drinker. And I think only one time, honestly, and it was when we were in Texas, when I was mowing the lawn, or I knew I was going to mow the lawn that day. It was the weekend, and I was like, oh, you know what? On the way home, let's stop by the gas station. I stopped by the gas station. I bought a 6-pack of Coors Banquet, okay, for all my cowboys, for all my country folks out there. Coors Banquet, top of the line. And I went out and started mowing the lawn, and I cracked open a beer, drank it, and then continued mowing the lawn, cracked open a second one, drank it. I finished the 6-pack by the time I finished the mowing the lawn and trimming the hedges.
It got you.
It got me, but I mean, I wasn't,
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, but no. What I'm trying to say is that it wasn't out of the norm for me. Not that I drink heavy like that on my days off or just randomly. I really just would drink when we're with friends. And so for that one, I don't know, I felt, I was like, you know what, I'm feeling some type of way. Let me go get drunk at home.
Yeah, that's way out of the ordinary. Alex is 100% a social drinker.
But yeah, so I don't know, maybe because we've never did that at home. It was easier to not see, or
you were at
easy,
work a lot too.
That too, or what was I gonna say? I mean, we know alcoholics and friends and families, and seeing that, I guess, level, being exposed to that level, but not seeing it in us, it didn't raise any red flags for me. Yeah. I know there was one time I bought you a bottle of Hendrick's. Summer Solstice, which I know was your favorite gin.
Yeah, it was the best one.
Yeah, and so I remember that the bottle was gone in like a week and a half, but your parents were visiting us.
Yeah.
So to me, it wasn't out of the norm. I was like, okay, well, she's been making martinis for her and her mom. Like, all right, cool, no big deal. I wasn't aware of that. And so here comes my next question, and again, it's a heavy one. You mentioned how you grew up and you were able to taste, alcohol with your parents, but you weren't never that person that went out and partied like me. Whoa. But, you weren't that person. So where do you feel that shift happened? Where do you feel like you became more dependent on it, or maybe you noticed that change?
I think it came to just a socially acceptable way to deal with my stress. Okay. I don't think we talked about, like, I had depression and mental health issues that I have fully recovered from.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
All with God, completely. But I think in that point, even though I really worked on the mental health side, I wasn't good at managing stress, and it was the way that all our friends hung out was drinks. That's all we did, was we would go out to bars or we'd go over to people's houses, grill and drink, take shots. And it just seemed like the socially acceptable way to numb internal things that you never want to deal with. Stresses. I've never been good at confrontation either. So if we had a disagreement, not going to go to him with that. I'm going to go hide away and not share my opinions because I never wanted to have conflict. Now I'm so much better. As you guys see, I call him out all the time. So I think it's just it just got progressively worse. And then I also like drinking because of the taste. I wouldn't just drink to get the feeling. I mean, I drank high-end beverages when I was drinking.
Whoa, bougie.
I was, though. Like, I was drinking good quality stuff because I also just enjoyed, like, tasting all the different whiskeys and the notes. He mentioned Midsummer Solstice. It's such a beautiful floral gin, and I still have so much appreciation for alcohol. Like, I will gladly make anyone a cocktail because I learned how to do that. You know, it could have been COVID because I learned how to make cocktails during COVID, and I never understood how to really make drinks. And honestly, you see a lot of shows, movies, drinking's very glamorized. One of my favorite actresses and characters is Blake Lively in A Simple Favor. And in that movie, she makes like a perfect gin martini, which is what I drink. I literally have a bottle of her husband's aviation gin in the freezer at all times, even now. My parents have kept it in their freezer too. And because that's just everywhere I go, our friends had it in their freezer. Because that was the gin I always drank even. And that's how I made it. Always had a lemon, always had some vermouth, made it gin martini straight up with a twist, dry. And that
very cold and very dry.
Very cold. Gin in the freezer, martini glass in the freezer. And I have such an appreciation for drinks, but also I saw it glamorized in all these different areas of characters that, I want to be like confident like this. I want to be cool, popular, whatever the character is creating and demonstrating. So you see that and you also want to be like them. So I think I also tried to emulate what I wanted, like a goal of my persona, because I wasn't confident. Like, you know how much I've been working on that confidence. And at that point, I had no confidence at all. Because this was before we decided to have a baby. And we were trying to get in shape. And I just didn't have any confidence at that point. So I think it was also from that standpoint when you drink, you don't care anymore. You're just like, hey, whatever. And then I felt cool because I'm a girl who likes whiskey and strong beverages, and I can taste it, and I know how to distinguish between like Jefferson's Oceans and Jameson. Like, I know all of these different things with drinks, so it just was a confidence thing also, I think.
No, I think that you touched on some heavy stuff there because I can see, I mean, I've always said that I think we can learn a lot, good and bad, from shows, from characters, from movies. And I definitely catch myself getting inspired by certain characters, by movies, and me trying to emulate them. And I agree with you. I do agree that in shows now and before, but shows now, there's a lot of use of drugs, alcohol that's very glamorized. In fact, in cool. music, like in Spanish music, I remember I make this joke, it's a sad joke, but I make this joke all the time, or I make this comment, it's not really a joke, that music nowadays has no lyrics to it. Like, music in the 90s had meaning, had feeling, any kind of genre, rap, rock, R&B, reggaeton, bachata, so like all these different songs, all these different genres had meanings to them. Now, I mean, you got mumble rap, you got a bunch of other stuff.
It's just talking about doing drugs, partying, and getting with the ladies. Yeah. That's a PG way of saying it.
That's a PG way of saying it. So yeah, I mean, I can see that it gets society just pushes it so much and glamorizes it so much and makes it a part of anyone's desire to be that if they want to be successful, right? Because even me, like, I wasn't a heavy smoker, but from occasion I'm like, you know what, a cigar sounds cool. I didn't even know how to like cut a cigar or like really smoke a cigar. Like the first time I actually learned how to smoke a cigar, I died. Like my throat, my lungs were hurting. And so, but I always, I'm a big mafia movie guy. And so I would always see the mobsters, right?
Yeah.
Cigar, whiskey, talking, business suit.
Yeah.
And so I would try to emulate that, right? So I think that you drive that home. I think that's a really good highlight and example. COVID, that's interesting. That's interesting because
I
I think
thought about it.
I think, and I saw the breakthrough, but I think that a lot of people found good and bad things during COVID. Like COVID, just the global pandemic did so much to the world, to the economy, to just human lives in general that I think that there's some people who unfortunately have not recovered from that, and there was a lot of challenges through that. So I can see that.
I think I was a social drinker with you at that point. And then, we didn't have the social part. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to learn how to make cocktails. And I would make them for me and my mom and dad and you. I'd make it for everyone who came over, honestly. I was like, one in Cosmo because I was really big into Sex and the City. Yeah. And one of our favorite Italian restaurants made a play on a Cosmo. It was like an autumn Cosmo. Yeah. And they put fresh orange juice in it. You guys, the best Cosmo ever. And I learned how to make it during COVID. I had one every day.
Yeah. And so
which is bad, obviously.
It's terrible.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But with that point, I remember that more your parents. I don't think we did it because I just felt weird about doing that. But how many of you remember social Zoom hours? Like Zoom as a company and the stock blew up because of COVID. And I remember specifically your parents on Fridays after work. Because your mom was still working at this time, your dad was retired, but after work, they'd get together in front of the freaking laptop and they'd be Zooming.
Yeah, it's common a lot. I was invited to other people's too.
Yeah, I remember that. I totally remember that. But, that makes sense because, and the other part that you mentioned that I want to touch upon, I know that you gained credibility with my circle of friends because of your knowledge of alcohol. Like, I'm by any means not an alcohol connoisseur. Sommelier. I'm not, well, that's for wine, but I'm not by that at all, by any means at all. But here's a funny story about me. One of the movies that I actually do enjoy and enjoyed growing up was Parent Trap, the Lindsay Lohan version. And so I always like my infatuation with wine, because I still love wine. I don't drink it anymore, but I love wine. My infatuation with wine came because I wanted to eventually be a vineyard owner, like Dennis Quaid. And so
beautiful wine owner.
I always wanted to be a wine owner, have my own vineyard, and I know that I would try and learn different notes and know how to distinguish different notes in wine and in spirits because I just enjoyed it for the craft, for the I guess the lessons learned there, the history, brew companies. I mean, we toured a couple ones and those were pretty fun to do, and so I just there's an art to it and appreciation that comes with the art. I would say, in my younger days and definitely in my young adult days, there was a lot more of just drinking to get drunk.
UV
like,
blue.
Let's go get.
Yeah. See, and
tonight,
I never had that. I never had that. My parents just had me drink what they were drinking, so I was already. I think that's probably why I didn't, because I grew up on the good stuff, so I never drank the gross cheap stuff.
I get that. That's that. Fair enough. I'm not hating on that. Yeah. I definitely had to grow up and learn. I remember. Okay, real quick story. I remember one of the restaurants I was working at. They gave us. It was at the steakhouse. They gave us a small like taster. Like when I say taster, it was like probably drop, like 2 drops, 3 drops of Louis XIII.
Just to wet the palate.
Yeah, just to wet the palate. And they were doing I don't even know what the heck they were doing. They were doing a training for all of us, but. Yeah, I think we were starting to sell Louis XIII there. I don't remember, but it was cool to have just a little bit of a bottle of Louis XIII. And at that time, I'm not a cognac person at all. So I like it, but I can't distinguish the notes. Is what I'm trying to say. So to me, it was just like, I mean, it tastes good. It tastes like. I think I made the comment of it tastes like Hennessy, and the guy who was the rep, he just like looked at me, and I think he wanted to hit me, but.
Considering the reputation Hennessy has, I could see that.
Well, I mean, that was just...
And you know what? I was the hostess at this restaurant, and they didn't even give me some. I was up at the front until we opened, and no one gave me one.
When we did the training, that was sad.
So rude.
I still have my picture, actually, over there.
Yeah, must be nice.
That was cool. It was a cool experience. But, no, I think you've definitely touched on some really good points. And it's crazy to think that how much, like, at what lengths we can go to hide things that we are ashamed of or that we're embarrassed about. And when it comes to light, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm just asking heavy questions, and I appreciate your vulnerability and the willingness to share, because I think it does help people and it does help give perspective. But you mentioned how you were afraid that if I found out, there would be some confrontation. At what point did you realize and you said to yourself, like, okay, no, I have a problem, and admit it to yourself?
Well, it was actually based on a comment my dad said. Because I was hiding it pretty darn well, but I made a little slip up, and my dad realized, like, he made a comment to me about it. So he had my parents for my birthday sent me 2 bottles of Frey Ranch whiskey. It's local. Bourbon and a rye. I like the bourbon better. The rye was a little strong. But they sent me these 2 bottles. They're huge glass bottles. I finished them in 2 weeks.
Both.
So it's like a bottle a week. That's a lot for just drinking it neat.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, oh, I'll have a shot of this. It was, I have a triple each day, which is a lot of whiskey a day. And I was just FaceTiming them when we were in Texas. And I was like, oh, yeah, thank you so much for the Frey Ranch whiskey. It's already gone. And he was just like, you drank it all? And I was like, when did I get it? Like, calculating the dates. He's like, that was fast. And, you know, my dad, he's a whiskey drinker. Yeah. He loves his good quality whiskey. He has a drink maybe once every month. He doesn't drink it often, but he has a good collection. And he likes his whiskey, so he knows whiskey. And the fact that I finished those 2 big bottles, they're like that big. Round. Yeah. You know, they're pretty big bottles. Yeah. In 2 weeks, he was like, And when he said that, I was just like, is that fast? It didn't occur to me from another perspective if that was fast. Yeah. And when you mentioned, like, the gin being gone in, like, a week, I'm pretty sure it was a week. And then when we were getting really healthy, finished the 75 hard challenge, I had 1 bottle of the Neptune gin in the freezer that had just come out. Alex let me get that. And I knew at that point that I wanted to stop drinking. And it was right before we decided to have Rhaegar. I finished that bottle in like 3 days. I had so many gin cocktails in 3 days, and it was like, that was the last drink I ever had, was this, it was fall time. It was an apple cinnamon gin cocktail, because I was making us a lot of cocktails. Yeah,
the apple, the one you're talking about, the apple one is really good.
Yeah, I added some apple cider, gin, cinnamon, nutmeg. I put a cinnamon stick with an apple slice in it. It was really good.
It's like, for those of you, if you've ever been to like an apple orchard and like that smell in the fall of the like just crisp apples in the fall air, like it smelled and it tasted just like an apple orchard. It was really good.
It was yummy. So that was the last he had 1 cocktail out of that whole bottle. I finished it, and the fact that I was able to finish that so fast, when I finished my drink, I was like, I'm done. Yeah. I cannot have any more. No. And since then, that has been the last drink I ever had, and then we decided to have Rhaegar, and then never again. Is pretty much how it went.
I'm curious, how long was that time frame, that distance? Do you remember?
Between us deciding to have Rhaegar and me finishing that?
Yeah, between you finishing that and then Rhaegar.
Like a couple days.
Really?
Very close, yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. I wonder, and I don't think we've shared it in great detail, but, you know, God spoke to you
Mm-hmm.
when it came to Rhaegar. And so I'm curious now, do you feel like that was, divine? Do you feel like that was
Mm-hmm.
purposeful as to you, as him giving you, these are, how do I say it? Him giving you the vision of
Mm-hmm.
having our son, of you seeing our son. Do you feel like that was because you made that choice at that time, or what are your thoughts?
Well, and I think my drinking may have been getting worse then because I was personally being disobedient.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mentioned a few times like, oh, like I think we might be time for us to have a baby, and I mentioned too, like we talked about it in the previous episode of us in the car, when I brought it up to you, and we're still not being obedient and actually doing it.
Yeah.
And I think my drinking, it was right after that where I got the Frey Ranch. I'm drinking through lots of gin. I honestly cleared out our bar pretty much before we even moved. I think it was to the point where I either am going to keep drinking or I need to be obedient to God. And I know I couldn't have a baby if I'm sabotaging my life in that way.
Yeah.
So I do think it was God kind of interceding on that, because he's telling me, it's time for you guys to have a son. And I'm over here drinking daily, always just numb.
Yeah.
And how can you be a parent to that? How am I going to be able to be obedient and be a parent and have a baby, a healthy baby, if I'm doing that? It was so close to right when we decided, when I finished. And
That's
that
crazy.
was where I was like, nope, I'm not having anything else. It was a good drink to end on, but...
Yeah. That's crazy. No, I really appreciate your perspective, and I said it already. I really appreciate your vulnerability. Mm-hmm. I really appreciate you willing to share and being open with this, because I think it's a very important topic. From my end, I'll share that. Like I already shared it, but I was oblivious to it. I didn't see it. You mentioned a bottle collection right now. We didn't, or our bar, I think is how you said it. We didn't really have a lot of alcohol.
Not ones I was allowed to open.
Correct, because I do have an alcohol collection.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. Lynn's a big Harry Potter fan. I mean, that was the theme of our wedding, half and half. But she liked Game of Thrones too. Anyways, I have Game of Thrones released a special collection of Scotch, and I have the entire collection. And I have a couple of those bottles in doubles, and so that's one of my special collections. And so obviously we can't open those, right? And so, but we had those displayed as decorations, and I think we wouldn't really keep beer, because I mean we would drink beer at the restaurant or when we're hanging out with people, but I never drank it. Like we never drank at home.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's also was hard to distinguish with me, because I was picky alcoholic.
Yeah.
I didn't drink tequila and beer.
Tequila.
And I didn't drink that it wasn't like I needed it, but I wasn't going to drink what I didn't like. And I think that's where it comes from, me just having a higher preference, because I appreciate the craft of it as well. Which, like, you can see now, like, I still love it, obviously. I just don't love myself when I drink it. And I don't trust myself in controlling me drinking it. Because even now... Like, I buy drinks for others, and, like, when it's their birthdays, his brother just turned 21, I made him a cake out of alcohol. Yeah. And we have another person going to be 21 close to us. I'll be making a special thing for her as well. And I'm not encouraging alcoholism his by girlfriend. Any means. Yes. Well, I didn't want to be, like, too nosy. Okay, yes, his girlfriend. But I want, I'm not trying to encourage it, because I don't want anyone to get to where I am at. But I personally don't have that control, whereas a lot of others, they do have the control. I just don't think with my personality, even now, I could handle even taking a sip. I think, and I had, like, when I say I had a high tolerance, you guys, I could have, like, 5 cocktails straight. Like, when I say cocktails, I mean whiskey in a glass. Yeah. And no ice. Fine. Yeah, no ice. That I love it. Ruins everything, as a quote from one of my favorite movies.
there is benefits to water. You drop a water, lets it breathe, right? Lets the notes come out. But ice, yes, it does ruin it. So. Yeah. Okay.
Even now, I'm a drink snob and I don't even drink. If I make you a cocktail, yes, it will probably have ice, but it will be stirred, not shaken.
There you go. Perfect.
You don't want ice chips in your martini.
No, you don't.
That's the worst.
Diluted alcohol is the worst.
Yeah, when you go to a restaurant and you take a sip and you just see the ice floating on the water of your martini, that's not good.
You're like, no. But okay, no. So I got a couple more questions, and I think that this is the important part, right? You shared, you laid the foundation, you shared the background, and I appreciate that. Now, how do we help? Because I think there's two very good perspectives here. My perspective as someone who wasn't paying attention, who didn't see the signs, who wasn't aware of, and I don't want to say, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to say you were crying for help, because I think if you were crying for help, I would have noticed. I want to believe I would have noticed. But I think from my perspective that I'll touch upon in a little bit is as the man of the house, as the leader of our household, am I being an effective leader if someone in my household is not, what's the word here?
If they're struggling.
If they're struggling, yeah. If they're struggling with whatever, and that's something that I'll answer here in a second. But for you, what do you feel is the important takeaways here from your perspective as someone who hides things? Actually, let me start here. Do you feel like alcohol can be issues in a marriage or in any kind of relationship?
I think it completely can be an issue because alcohol, any kind of substance abuse, any substance just in general, whether it's meds, prescribed or not, drugs, alcohol, I think you have to be very careful because you are under the influence and you never know how you're going to react to that mentally. So you can say horrible things, you can do horrible things, and you might not even remember the stuff you say, and
you just blame it on the alcohol, blame it on the... Sorry, I had to.
Yes. But I think it can cause a lot of disruption, and it causes you also to rely more on that substance than your partner. And that's who, it's the same as if you're going and telling other people, going to your friends, saying, I had so much problems with my husband or boyfriend. You don't do that. You go to them when you're having the problems. It's the same. You're just putting your problems into a bottle instead of going to them and dealing with it. And it provides a crutch, and it just creates that marital drift completely because you're not going to be honest at all with your significant other. And then when you are drinking a lot and you're always drunk or always under some kind of influence, you don't have the same perspective sober. So you're gonna say horrible things, might think they're doing something wrong when really it's you. So you're putting like all the responsibility and pressure and blaming the other person instead of yourself. And it's really like I had to be taking responsibility for my own actions and myself in that respect. So I think it can cause a lot of issues. A nice glass of wine together for anniversary, maybe some champagne, is fine. But if you abuse it, it can cause so many issues in a relationship.
Yeah, I think that's key there, because I'm not gonna sit here and bash someone if they enjoy their alcohol. I think to each their own, but because we were those people. We enjoyed it.
I mean, I'll make you a cocktail anytime. Come over.
But I do think that it's important to recognize where that line is, where that boundary is, and if it crosses that, the important thing is acknowledging that there's a problem and maybe you need some help or we need to reevaluate some decisions, because alcohol can ruin. It's any substance can ruin lives. I mean, we've seen it. Right, and our lives play out through different people that we know, and I mentioned this earlier. Some of my favorite movies are mafia movies. One of my absolute favorite mafia movie is A Bronx Tale, and one of the famous lines from that movie is, "There's nothing more sad in this world than wasted talent," and I think that is true. If letting substances take control of you and become your life, overcome your life, you could have a lot of talent, but it's going to be wasted because that substance has now become your life and taken over. Yeah, they control you.
Yeah, you have, because once you get it in your system, you don't want it to leave. And it's the same with alcohol. You crave it.
Yeah.
I still crave it, and it's been over 19 months. That's a long time.
And I don't know if this is, I think this is true. I think I learned it in school, but I can't remember. I think alcohol withdrawals are some of the worst, and they can actually kill you.
Yeah.
From having alcohol withdrawals.
Yeah, it's like the stress of it. And I think for me, I didn't really experience that much because I was pregnant.
Yeah.
So it was a great transition for me.
Yeah.
And you guys, when he came out, everyone was offering me a beverage because that's what you do right after you have a baby, you know. Your milk hasn't come in yet, and you know you're excited. And yes, I can have sushi again. I can drink again, and it was so hard to say no.
Yeah.
But I had done it 9 months already. I was gonna keep going.
Yeah.
And that's where I had to make the decision because if I were to have one sip, I think it would have been immediately go back.
Yeah, that makes sense. And again, I've been saying it all day. I appreciate that transparency because that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know for me, I mentioned it that I'm way behind you. I'm like 10 months behind you in terms of not drinking. Again, I'm more of a social drinker, was more of a social drinker. When our son was born and she's nursing, she's not drinking, I had maybe, I don't know, like 5 or 6. Sorry, I have something in my eye. Yeah. I had like 5 or 6 times that we went out that I drank a little bit. I mean, it's been a while since I've gotten like blacked out or just
I think
very
it's from
heavy
when
drinking.
You mowed the lawn. That was
that was the last one. But I remember just having a conversation with you, and then you're like, no, like I'm not drinking anymore. You hadn't opened up as to why. You're just like, no, I'm just not drinking right now because of Rhaegar, and I really want to be strong, and I really want to push through this. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to support you. I'm going to stop drinking myself. I actually had stopped drinking prior to Rhaegar being born, prior to... I had stopped drinking prior to you stopping drinking yourself. I went like 5-6 months without drinking. And I was like, you know
it was after 75 hard.
Yeah, it was after 75 hard. So I continued doing it. I was like, you know what? This is easy. I actually feel really good not drinking. I don't feel lethargic. I don't feel worse in the morning. I don't feel, I hate hangovers. So I think we all hate hangovers. I was like, I don't want to experience that anymore. So I'm cool. And I continued the trajectory. It wasn't until a trip that I took and I was with some friends and again, social drinker.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, do you want to drink? I was like, nah. First night I was like, no, I'm fine. Then the second night, they're like, you can tell everyone's having a good time. And they're like, you want to drink? I was like, all right, fine, I'll have a whiskey.
So say no, yeah.
So I broke there. But even after that, I had that. And I was like, you know what? I had 3 or 4. And I was like, I had a little bit of a hangover the next day. My tolerance had completely dropped. I was like, you know what? This reminds me why I stopped drinking. I don't want to drink anymore. So I stopped. Rhaegar was born. I was excited. I had some drinks to celebrate. We went out to dinner, had some drinks to celebrate, and then the last beer I had was actually the night before we moved back from Texas with my dad. It was my dad. We were waiting for my brother to fly in, and him and I had a drink at one of our favorite restaurants, your and I's favorite restaurant, and so that was really cool. That was the last beer I've had, last drink I've had. But I feel great. I feel very, strong. I feel very happy. I don't miss it. I was going to say unfortunately, but I guess not unfortunately. I wasn't in that sense dependent on it. I enjoyed it. I liked having fun. Lynn says I have 2 alter egos when I'm drunk. I'm either happy Alex or just...
Or like aggressive, angry Alex.
So I'm going to use disc. We keep using disc. I love it. I'm either high D, like very high D Alex, or I'm high I Alex and I just like love you and want to hug you and you're the best person in the world.
Like I love you, bro. You're this amazing. You're my brother. I love you so much over and over again, touching you, hugging you, like he's cuddly. He's a big flirt, so it's and then he'll be like, guys, just shut up. Like, no, like rolling his eyes, like, no, I got this. Like the most confident, but like arrogant person ever.
Oh my goodness.
Jake can attest. He has had some nights where he's just like, Alex, no, I can't deal with you even. The strawberry sake, man. That was his
strawberry sake is my kryptonite. Oh my goodness. Especially at gin. Oh baby, let's go. Let the good times roll. Jing, let the good times roll. But okay, no, so back to the topic. My perspective, I would say, it's sitting here talking about it again and or talking about it more and thinking back. there are some things that I can look back and say maybe I should have said something, maybe I should have asked if everything was okay, because I honestly wasn't paying that close attention, and I think that that's where I feel my sense of dropping the ball, my sense of responsibility, call it my sense of guilt for not paying attention in my own household. Because I remember you getting the 2 bottles, the story you're sharing, that's the example I'm going to use. I remember you getting the 2 bottles of Freya Ranch from your parents. And I remember that conversation where your dad's like, or you're like, oh, I finished them already. And I think I was in the other room. And I was just like, in my head, I'm like, didn't you just get them? But I think I was playing video games. And so I wasn't like really paying attention again. And so, looking back now, hindsight, I think if you were more, if you had more nights where you got drunk,
Yeah.
I think I would have noticed more because it's more in your face. But how you were, it was very hard for me because you were, you would never buy things behind my back, so to say. Anytime we would go shopping, you would always say, hey, can I buy a bottle of Hendrix? Or in fact, I would surprise you. Because I know you've had a long, it's been busy at work or things have been going on or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? She's been awesome. She deserves this. Let me buy her this bottle of Hendrix that I know she loves. And so for me, it was just casual drinking. Like I never looked at it as you having an issue or there being a concern there. So I would say my lessons learned is just being more aware, and being present at home. When I'm at home, being present, being aware of what's going on, because the enemy can creep in, right? The enemy can creep in. The enemy's just looking looking to steal, seek, looking to kill. Oh my goodness. The enemy is looking to seek, kill, and destroy. There we go. But yeah, I think it's important for us leaders, for us guys who are the leaders of our household, to pay attention of what's going on in our kingdom, what's going on in our castle.
Yeah.
I said this once. Actually, I didn't say it. Someone else said it to me, and it really hit me. God said this to me. He said, how do you want to be a leader in all other areas of your life, but neglect to be a leader in your household, which is the most important thing? And I was going through a season at this time, and that just really hit me. It really hit me because he's right. Sometimes we focus so much of our attention in wanting to grow here and wanting to grow there and wanting to advance here and wanting to advance there that we forget to pay attention to the most important thing. We forget to pay attention to home. And, for what it's worth, I know we're not in that position anymore, but I do want to apologize and say that I'm sorry that I didn't see, that I wasn't paying attention, that I didn't see that you needed someone or that you needed me or whatever. And those are my takeaways. Those are my lessons learned to improve and be a better leader, be a better servant husband, be a better significant other, better spouse, better father to you and to our family.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I also didn't help with hiding it either because my lack of confidence and insecurities. But thank you.
Yeah, of course. No problem. But the last question I do want to ask you, because I think it's important for you. So that was just my takeaway, my perspective. You living it, you going through it. What are things that people should look out for in those relationships, or if they have concerns, how do you start that conversation and talk to your significant other or talk to your spouse? I think that is the key to, is because you mentioned it earlier, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have friends that you can do life with. I think that's very important, but you should be very intentional and be very careful who you share that much about your relationship with. Right? There's people who want to build you, and there's people who want to destroy you. That's just life. So if you don't have those people, or if you do, but you want to fix things, you want to fix your relationship, what are some takeaways? What are some tips that you can share that help with that?
Well, just in general, like the first thing you asked of noticing, I think it would be really small things. Like I would step away and like take a sip here, take a sip there. Like it sounds micromanaging, I guess, in a relationship, but keep track of the bar cart if you have it, and see how quickly things are going through, because I think that can determine a lot. I was making cocktails every night for dinner for fun, like, oh look, that's another fun cocktail, but I think it can become routine. And seeing that, I mean, you shouldn't probably need a cocktail 7 days of the week. I mean, I guess it's okay to have one drink a day, but for me, it was consistent, and that consistency builds up and up. And I think if you're seeing, even if it's just one drink consistently, there could be more happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
If you just sense anything, maybe hearing work is stressful, or there's a lot going on, or maybe they're not taking care of themselves as well. They're sleeping in more because they're tired, because they're going to bed from drinking. I think those can be subtle signs, lethargic stuff, because I was always tired after drinking. I mean, it doesn't give you energy by any means.
I mean, it gives you energy for a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially if you do Red Bull vodkas, which were my go-to in my early age.
That sounds terrible. I think tips, though, is I was just insecure and not confident in myself, and I didn't manage stress well. So finding other ways to manage that stress, like healthy ways. So if you have a partner that also has anxiety or stuff like that, finding healthier outlets, like going to the gym together, going on walks together. We swam and stuff together. That was a fun way. Played intense games of ping pong.
We played intense games of
swimming too.
But it's not even Marco Polo. I don't even know what you would call it.
No, it's just like chasing.
Yeah, she would have to. Real quick, we created a game, and you know how the pool has the different stairs to get in and out of the pool. She had to catch me and like jump on me, and she would win. But anytime I touched the stairs or the rail for the stairs, that was my base. Yeah. And so we would just, that's what we did for 75 Hard a lot of times.
Yeah.
Is we'd just be running around the pool, and I'd be trying to get away from her. And anytime that she would be the person that I had to capture, the game would end in like 5 minutes. So.
Yeah. He was good at it. But just filling those areas with distraction and healthy ways to release stress and energy. And then, honestly, make better drinks without alcohol.
Okay.
If you're, because I mean, I'm still struggling with this piece. I just gave up sparkling water a few weeks ago because when I stopped drinking, you obviously still have that craving.
Yeah.
A lot. I still get it where I'd love a good cocktail or something. So I found ways of making drinks, fun drinks, mocktails, even looking at recipes, even if you have to have all the ingredients in the house, which also I found out bitters is alcoholic. I'm glad I never used any. I thought it was just flavoring, because that's an old fashioned, but just like grenadine, lime, lemon, ice, sparkling water like Pellegrino, LaCroix, and orange juice, and mixing different drinks, and that fizziness can help. I really try to be more healthy, but like Sprite, having that sort of thing. I mean, if you like whiskey and sodas, there's different ways to play with it. I wouldn't get the fake alcohol because there's technically, unless you're doing the no duels or the non-alcoholic Guinness, I think there's still a slight percentage and
there's still alcohol in some, a little bit, I think.
But trying to find fun drinks to replace those, even if it's just if you're like trying to help someone or you personally are working to improve to stop drinking, just incorporating those in like every other day. You're not having a drink, you're having the fun mocktail, and playing with that and making it fun can help. Because for me, that's still something like I don't want to just drink straight water. I don't want to drink just a straight juice because I enjoy the taste of the alcohol. Yeah. That's another reason why it was so easy for me, because I liked it. I wasn't needing to just try to chug just to feel it. Like I savored my beverages.
Correct.
So I think being able to kind of replicate, it's not going to be the same. And if you have the expectation it's going to be the same, you're going to be really disappointed and fall really quick back on drinking consistently. But trying to find other ways similar to what you're drinking can help. It's helped me a lot. It helped me in the very beginning, especially with pregnancy too. You're being hit all at once. Yeah. Pregnancy, cravings, nausea, and no drinking. So I really tried to have fun, like creative drinks. And now I've been looking at like mocktails. I just cut out sparkling water though, which was a big component of that. So I'm still, every day. it's very cliche, and you hear in the movies and stuff, like, I'm an alcoholic, I've been sober this many days, when you, like, the AA meetings and stuff, where they still say it even though it's been 10 years since they drink. It's because the craving is always there. If you can't get past the addiction part, you can't say, oh no, I'm cured. Because if you were to have a drink, it would be right back at square one.
Yeah.
So that's why I think they say that, because it has to be a reminder, like, you still are not strong enough to take a sip.
Yeah.
And that's just the acknowledgement too. People always say, like, you have to acknowledge your problem, but acknowledging it is a step, but it definitely doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah, that's very interesting because for me, it isn't terrible. I think I only miss it, again, when we're in social settings.
Yeah.
And I want to take this time to give a shout out to our friends who have supported us and understand that we're not drinking, and they don't push it. Like, they're not, come on, have a drink, here, I ordered you this.
No,
in fact,
the
first time they thought we were joking, and because we would joke around like that, and the first time they thought we were joking, but we were like, no, we're serious, like, we're not drinking. They were taken back a little bit, but they made the pivot real quick, and they said, okay, cool, I respect that. Are you cool if I can, like, if I drink? I'm like, yeah, of course, like, that doesn't bother us. So shout out to you guys, shout out to y'all for your support. It really means a lot.
It really means a lot. Yeah.
But it's interesting because I sit here as you said that, and I think about just mindset and different people and how different people's minds work. For me, you're gonna laugh at this because I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite because you know me, but I truly believe that I don't have an addictive personality for some things. Because when it came to drinking, I quit cold turkey.
Yeah.
When I used to smoke, I quit cold turkey.
Yeah, and you don't crave it now.
Marijuana, I quit cold turkey. Like, in fact, here's my Jesus moment. There's one time I came home from hanging out with friends and after school, baked. Like, I was baked. And my parents got home earlier than I anticipated them being home. They went out to dinner and they had a date night. And I remember my friends pulling up. Like, I still remember this to this day. I remember my friends pulling up, and I just see my parents, and my heart just starts, like, I see their car and my heart's racing. I'm like, oh, I'm screwed. Like, I'm going to get caught. And I remember just, like, stumbling my way up to the front door. And before I touched the door, before I said anything, I said a quick prayer. I closed my eyes. I said, God, if you get me out of this, I promise you, I swear to you, I will not smoke ever again in my life. And the second I touched my door handle, I don't know, like, immediately I came to my senses. Like, I came to it. I was sober. And I walked in, and sure enough, my parents were in the living room watching TV. And they're like, oh, you're back. I was like, yeah, I'm back. How was dinner? They're like, good. How was the show? Good. And I was like, all right. And then the way our house is laid out, you walk in, there's a living room. And then there's a wall right here. You go to the wall, and then you take a left down the hallway. As soon as I hit that wall where they don't see me anymore, I immediately feel it again, and I like stumbled, and I caught myself by the wall, and I was like, whoa. And I'm slowly make my way to my bed, take off my shoes, take off my pants, and just lay down. And I remember my parents walking into my room that night. My mom walks into my room that night and just checks on me, and I just pretended that I was asleep. And then the next morning, she's like, are you okay? And I was just like, yeah. She's like, what happened? I was like, I don't know. I think there was someone just spiked the alcohol, like, put alcohol in the juice punch. I freaking thought of, like, a 90s TV movie, or a 90s teen show. I was like, someone just spiked the punch bowl at the party. And she was like, okay. And we never spoke about it again. Like, we left that. That was the last thing. And I went a long time now. I'm not going to lie to you. I did smoke 2 or 3 times after that incident. But after that incident in particular, I went years. Like, years without smoking again. I think
and
it was.
And you never over-abused it.
And it was like 4 or 5. It was probably 4 or 5 years. No, it was probably like 3, 4 years before I smoked again. And that was with friends. I did it that one time, and then I didn't do it again until I did it with another friend for like 4 years later.
Social.
Yeah, it was just like I never craved it. It was never an addiction, and now it's been probably 3 years, I think, and that's the last time I've ever smoked weed, and I don't plan on going back to it. But yeah, it's interesting how different mindsets, different personalities work, because I don't have an addictive personality for that. I'm able to quit cold turkey. Like, right now we're doing 75 hard. Bread, kryptonite. That has been hard, but I quit it cold turkey, no problem. And so, I don't know. It's just, it got me thinking that I believe, and this might be controversial, but I believe that mental toughness has something to do with how you react and respond to life's curveballs or life's tests or life's challenges. If you have really good mental toughness, you can withstand a lot of things. And I'm just very grateful that I do, because I it's hard for me to put myself in those shoes, because it's not like that for me. Like
That's good.
When I see our friends, like I said, when I see our friends and we're out having a good time, like heck yeah, I miss them. Like, oh, you know what? It sounds like a beer sounds great right now, or a cocktail sounds great right now. An old fashioned, we love all our old fashions. But other than that, I'm like, okay, I'm cool. Like once that feeling fades away, and it fades away pretty quickly, I'm like, okay, whatever. Here, drink my water, drink my Pellegrino, and then on with my life.
Yeah, I'm still at the point where I'm like, let me smell your drink. Smells good. Hope you enjoy it. But I do ask for mocktails now when we go out, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
To just see what they'll make me and just try. I'm just like any kind of mocktail, because obviously there's no gin or they're not gonna put tequila or vodka in it, which is gross. So I don't have to worry about that. So I'm just like any kind of mocktail, which is fun. I like surprises, but it's been an adjustment, and it's still something that, because I visibly see myself struggle when I go into a bar, I feel it in myself, or when we're with people and I see them drinking, I'm like, oh, that sounds nice. And also my little judgy side can come out, where I'm like, they're drinking that right now, like they're drinking something so much better, they're wasting their time on that. Also can come out, where I'm like, I want to talk to you, but then I feel like a hypocrite because I don't drink, even though I have the credentials.
You do.
To tell you what's good to drink and what's not. I've gone through a lot of whiskey and gin. I know what's good and what's not, in my opinion, but it's still kind of holding that back. Like, I have to suppress those feelings still. So that's how I know. For me, I don't want to drink ever again. Will I say that 10 years from now, and we're renewing our vows, and I want to have some Dom Perignon to
that
toast?
we didn't have?
I know. To toast. Will I be comfortable when Rhaegar's 10 and saying I'm confident that I can have a sip of this? Maybe. From now, I don't want to ever drink again, because from my perspective, I can't control it. But I'm not going to say never in 20 years from now. But for now, at this point, how I want to raise my child, I don't want him to see me in any of those states. And I know I can't control myself now. Yeah. So. And
that's important. I will say, and I won't spend too much time into this, because that's another can of worms. But I've said this at the beginning. We've seen that play out in our families and in our friends and just people that we know. And has that affected us in some way, shape, or form? I would say yes. Are those people better? I would say yes as well. But some things that you see, they stick with you if you see them at a young age, they stick with you. And I know that we've talked about it, that we don't want to set that kind of example for Rhaegar. And don't misunderstand me. Not that I'm afraid of him understanding what the world is about, or that I'm trying to helicopter parent him and not show him what the world is about. No. My job as his father is to prepare him for the world. Yeah. But it's also our job as his parents to lay a great foundation for him, so that way when things arise that we know we won't be able to protect him from or shield him forever, that we have the trust in our family that he can come up to us and say, Dad, someone offered me this today. What is that? Or someone told me this today. What is that? And so that is what I mean, that I want us to set the good examples of good communication, of good foundation, and good morals, good goals. That is what we're striving for when I say that.
Yeah, and I agree, because for me personally, I don't want to be raising him and having to have a drink when I'm making him breakfast in the morning. That's not a good precedent to set for him. That's not safe for him to be with someone in a non-sober state. It's not safe for me. It's not healthy for me. Yeah. And it's not a good example or foundation, because if he can't trust his mom to do this, how is he going to trust me in anything else, and therefore trust the leader of the family, because he's letting me do that? So I think it's me setting Alex up for success as a father and our family, because I'm going to be strong and have a solid foundation for myself, which
Yeah.
helped me teach him too. So.
Correct. No, that's good. I appreciate that. I really do. Well, this has been a heavy topic.
Yeah.
We have gone, I think, like an hour and 30 almost. But actually, real quick before we sign off, I just want to acknowledge why I busted out laughing so hard when you said the Dom Perignon. So for our wedding,
One of my friends.
you know who you are, so I'm not gonna say your name. We love you always. But for our wedding, we had a bottle of Dom Perignon gifted to us, and we had it at our table. And when it came time to do the cheers for the bride and groom, we were excited to open that. Well, we come to find out that our friends had already opened that.
And it was gone.
And we didn't get it.
We didn't get our specialty cocktails either.
We didn't get our specialty cocktails
I'm glad everyone at the wedding enjoyed all the good drinks we paid for.
So that is why. That is why I laughed so hard. Because
now I'll never get to taste it.
I mean, you answered. You got ahead of me and answered one question I was going to ask you, is if you would ever drink again. Yeah. And I wasn't sure. I debated on asking. You know, I know it can be a little sensitive, but I appreciate you sharing your perspective. As for me, I'm in the same boat. Again, it's not like I didn't need it. It wasn't something that I was dependent on, but I enjoy it. I enjoyed it, and I miss it from time to time. Again, like in social settings. But for me, we'll see. We'll see. Right now, I'm very happy where I'm at. I'm very content. I don't plan on going back. I thank God every day for the strength that He gives us, and for the life that He's blessed us with. And so, we just continue moving forward and aim to be obedient to His word and be good stewards of what He gives us and be good disciples and good examples.
I agree, and I think it's hard to be definite. You just can't be definite about anything in life. It changes so much. You know, I mean, we're in Nevada now, and we were in Texas, and it was a
year ago
decision. So I don't want to, but I'm not gonna say way down the road I'm not gonna have like one drink if I feel like I can control it. I now know what I can control and what I can't. And if I'm not confident enough that I can control it, I will not ever let it pass my lips. So.
And I think that's important too, because I think it's important to recognize that the goal isn't to get to a place where you can drink again. The goal is just to be able to move forward with your life fulfilled and happy.
It's just to be able to withstand like not having that be a craving, honestly.
And just take control of your life. So I think that's important to distinguish and say. So. Well, cool. All right. Well, let's go ahead and land this plane because, like I said, we've gone at it for a while.
Long episode, but it's a good one because I think it's something that's dealt with a lot in society and honestly kind of glamorized nowadays. So it's something that is not normal, I think, for people young like us to quit drinking too. So if anyone else is struggling, please reach out to us. Or if you know someone struggling and want tips, reach out to us. If you have questions, we can do another kind of segment on it to go even further into depth, or asking questions about me, like personally, like what I did and stuff. Like I get it's a very, I guess, taboo topic and something that people don't share, and it's hard to talk about. So, but I'm pretty open about it now. I've been long enough to where I'd rather share it than to be awkward and hide it and not explain why. So I think it's important. It's more important to share it and let people know and have perspective than to just be selfish and kind of keep it in.
Yeah, I agree. And by any means, I mean, we're not experts, but we however we can help, we would love to be able to be a resource and just either give our perspective or help you find resources or help you find whatever.
I'm a sober one for you.
She just doesn't have pom-poms because you never cheerleaded, did you?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So
I was behind the plate getting dirty as a catcher. But cheerleaders are cool. They're stronger than I could ever be, so I'm not saying anything. I'm not pretty enough to be a cheerleader.
That's hilarious. I love it. Well, cool. All right. Well, hopefully everyone enjoyed this episode and there's some great takeaways that you took. Again, we appreciate spending this time with you guys. It really means a lot. Follow us on social media. You know where to find us. Lynn will put all that on the description below. And yeah, again, let us know. We like to remind you about this. Let us know how we can pray for you. Let us know how we can be of service. We wanna help build you and want to help you grow and flourish in your relationships and just get to a better place in your life. Right? Have more fulfilling relationships means having a more fulfilling life, in my opinion. But other than that, as always, go out there this week. Be great. Be awesome. Go out there and shatter your limits and ascend. And we'll see you guys next week.